Oh, that's in.
Blistering starts to a tennis match.
The Shakespeare got it wrong. It wasn't King Lear. It's King Lear.
LeBron James with no regard for human.
Yuvraj Singh finishes things off on style.
This is a Newslaundry podcast, and you're listening to NL Playoffs.
Hello and welcome to NL Playoffs. My name is Gautam. I have with me my co-host Aniket. Aniket, say hi.
Hello world.
Aniket, this is round 20 and we are at another whole number, a round number, not a whole number, because every number I think is a whole number that we do if it's 1, 2 and 3, I think. But we are at episode number 20, which is great for us. I still can't believe we've come this far. How are you doing, Aniket? How has been your sporting last few days been?
So it's been very exciting week, mainly because of sport, but then personal life, it's been very hectic because of all the traveling I spoke to you that I was undertaking this 2 weeks. So sports keeping me alive, and that's good, I suppose.
Yeah, we do have a lot of sporting action, a lot of exciting sporting action because for most of these tournaments we are at, as they say, the pointy end, which means that they're either in the knockout stages or towards the end of the tournaments where things are the most exciting and the stakes are very high. So let's get straight into what we are going to cover, Aniket. So we have the Champions League semi-finals that just concluded. So we are recording this on the 5th of May. It's around 8:15 a.m. India time. So we have the Champions League semi-finals just finished. Real Madrid and Manchester City played one of an all-time and frankly ridiculous Champions League semi-final couple of legs. So we'll talk a lot about that, I'm sure. Real Madrid go through to the finals along with Liverpool, who won against Villarreal. We also have IPL. We are getting close to the second half of the regular season, and that will be followed by the playoffs, the name of our podcast. And then we also have NBA again, playoffs going on. It's getting very exciting because there are last 8 teams left. So we can talk a little bit about that. We also have the Miami Grand Prix coming in, the inaugural Miami Grand Prix coming in the world of Formula 1. We can talk about that as well a little bit if time allows us to do so. We'll also have PV Sindhu making it to the semi-finals of the Asian Championships in badminton. Although she felt like she was unfairly treated by the umpires because the premise was that she was wasting some time, and then the umpire had to change the service, which meant that she lost a point. And she used that word, Aniket. She used the M word. She said she lost momentum. Yeah, go ahead.
So the M word is a magical word in the world of sport, as we have seen today from Sindhu's game, from the Champions League semi-final. Never underestimate it, I suppose.
It's that's what I was going to say too, because there is this talk of how the momentum completely shifted when Madrid equalized in that semi-final. But we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, and Gautam, let's also not forget, so to summarize, some of the footballing leagues have actually concluded, so winners have been announced. And for example, Real Madrid are now the winners of the La Liga. Officially, they have convincingly won. So now they look for also their 14th Champions League Champions League trophy, because they're playing their, I'm sure it's more than 14 finals, but I don't know the exact number of finals it is. And also the French league has been concluded by a wonderful goal from Lionel Messi. And after PSG drew the game, I think they were declared the champions. And then it was.
By the way, did you see that Messi did not make the first the best team of the year in the Liga? Apparently, it's the first time in his career, or like first time from forever ago. Apparently, Messi did not make the first team, the best team of the year list in the Liga.
Not just that, I also saw reports that apparently the PSG fans walked out of the stadium early too. So, despite the team winning, they were actually booed and walked out. And Pochettino had some comments to make about saying how Messi has been unfairly treated and he's going to come back stronger next year. It's a transitional year for him. And to that, I want to add, Messi, if you're listening, come back home, come back to Barcelona.
Well, we'll see. My guess is he's probably going to retire as a Barcelona player, but we'll see how it goes.
There's always hope, right? So.
The Bundesliga is done and dusted pretty much with Bayern Munich winning. I think they've won like 8 or 9 of the last 10 or something, some ridiculous stat like that, similar to the French Liga. So again, both of those no surprises. The biggest surprise is none of them have made it far into the Champions League. So both of those teams are the champions in their respective countries. The EPL title race is still pretty much on, with Liverpool and Manchester City still going head to head and winning everything that comes their way. So we'll see who drops points. At the moment, looks like nobody is dropping points, Aniket.
And Liverpool seem to be in hard pursuit. So, and let's not forget, I think they're going to play for the quadruple this year. So they're still in game. Oh, wow. It's going to be one hell of a season for them. And Manchester City, who are now top of the table, who were contesting for, I think, a treble at one point, are now out of everything but the Premier League. So I think they really have to hold on to whatever they have right now. I think that's the only trophy they're fighting for.
All chips will now be pushed to the Premier League as far as Manchester City goes. With the 4 games to go as we stand, City are 1 point ahead. So we'll see. Chelsea, I think, is playing the Wolves, and Man City has Newcastle coming up. And then Chelsea actually play Leeds, and City play Wolves and stuff. So I think it's going to be who blinks first in this case. Looks like all roads lead to maybe the last week of the Premier League, with City still up by a point. So we'll see what happens. I think the only tricky one for Chelsea, I think, is them taking on Leicester City on the 20th of May. But as far as Man City goes, looks pretty straightforward. So we'll see what happens.
And let's not forget that as we learned today, momentum is everything. So it doesn't seem that momentum is on Manchester City's side. So it'll be very interesting to see how they bounce back. But again, we are not here to make predictions, because clearly everyone who predicted anything today got everything wrong. So that's the nature of sport.
All right. So let's open with exactly that, Aniket. Let's talk about the...
Before we continue, I just want to add one more thing, Gautam. So we spoke about most of the leagues. Let's also talk about Serie A, which is the Italian league. So AC Milan are in a 2-point lead. So I think both AC and Inter are really close. 35 games played. I think AC Milan's on 77 points and Inter on 75. So the league, I don't know if it's open. It's going to be a close call, but it seems like AC Milan are heading. They have momentum on their way, because they won the last 3 games, and they've also drawn 2. So let's see what actually happens.
Awesome. Yeah, let's see. At least there is another league that is a little more exciting. So, all right, let's get straight into the Champions League semi-finals then. Real Madrid played Manchester City, which is the big headliner semi-final. It ended, the second leg ended at Madrid 3, Manchester City 1, and Madrid going through to the semi-final on an aggregate of 6-5. Again, kind of ridiculous score lines here. Real Madrid going into this match were down by a goal on aggregate because the first leg ended with the scoreline of 4-3. City scored 4 and Real Madrid had 3 goals, which we thought was frankly one of the games of the season until we came to the second leg of the semi-final, Aniket, where Manchester City looked in complete total control up until the 90th minute, literally the 90th minute. They literally did not break a sweat until Rodrigo came on and scored 2 goals in the 90th minute and the 91st minute to make things even at 5-5. We went on to extra time, and then Karim Benzema got a penalty and he just slotted that in pretty easily, and Madrid go through. Frankly, one of the more exciting and also ridiculous games that I watched of late.
Exciting, I think, after the 90 minutes, because I think first 75 minutes are
Yeah.
absolute bore. I mean, that was my experience. I think nothing was actually happening. Uh, well, to add to that, I did think Real Madrid did have a few early chances on, actually, a couple of them, which were not taken. And it did seem at that point that everything was going to go against Real Madrid, because City didn't seem in their element in the first half, but then again, after Mahrez's goal, things just turned. Everything was under control. Like you said, first 90 minutes, Real Madrid, zero shots on target. 91st minute, and there are two goals from Rodrigo. So I don't know. It was just crazy. I mean,
So
yeah,
let's talk about, typically in matches and games like this, in games like this, Guardiola, we've spoken this at length too. Guardiola always tends to overthink, right? He does something weird and wonky with his formations, or he does something weird with his with the player compositions, combinations, and so on. But I think this time he did a pretty straightforward job with regards to its selection. It was Foden started over Sterling, which I think is the right thing. On the left, Mahrez was starting on the right side. Gabriel Jesus has been really good. De Bruyne started, and the team selection I thought was pretty straightforward and spot on, and everything was working completely towards what his plan was. They were playing a conservative style. They were kind of trying to score. They were trying to move forward and kind of score, but they were also not as expansive, let's say, like in the second or the first leg. Real Madrid too was also looking to not concede, I thought, which, as you said, no shots on target and so on. So they're probably pushing all their chips into the last 20 or the 15 minutes. Their plan, I think, was make sure not to concede, score a goal on the counter attack if possible. Otherwise, don't concede, and then we'll see what happens in the last 15 minutes.
it was exactly that. I thought, so before the game started, I was wondering what rabbit out of a hat will Guardiola try to pull this time. Just given that it's been so many times, it's happened before. But it was like you said. I think Manchester City were under control up till the 90th minute, and such is the fleeting nature or the ephemeral nature of sport that things change in a batter of an eyelid, and that's literally what happened. So I don't know, Gautam, I wanted to pick your mind on this basically. So what went wrong for Manchester City?
Frankly, I think just a couple of lapses is all it took on the defensive end for City, right? So if you look at the two goals, the first goal, at this point, we were in the 90th minute, and at this point, Real Madrid were just trying to play direct, just put the ball in the box and see what happens. And it was one of those balls where one of those crosses that came in, and Benzema again, man, he's somehow makes things happen this year. They had a ball over to the far post. It just somehow cuts the ball back in, and Rodrigo was just there. I thought the defense was caught a little napping there at the back. I think it was Laporte.
And there's also Cancelo, who didn't track Benzema's run, I believe. So he was playing.
Cancelo was the left back, right? Yeah. So he didn't track his run, and that's pretty much all it took, right? Laporte just switched off for just a little while, and that's all it took for Rodrigo to slot the ball home, and then it was on, right? Literally the whistle blows to commence the game again. A cross comes in, and Rodrigo again finds himself in between two defenders. Kind of a free header, but also remember they took a slight deflection of Real Madrid player. I don't remember who now. Very slight deflection, which meant that the ball was right at his head to slot it home. So I think all it took was two defensive lapses. And at this point too, I'm sure, man, I kind of felt bad for Pep, because at this point I think he was planning for the next few games totally, because at this point, Kevin De Bruyne was subbed off, right? De Bruyne was not there. Sterling came on for Mahrez. Grealish was on. But at this point, more or less, all of these were some of these were defensive substitutions too. Zinchenko came on. I think that was for walkover. That was like to like, but still,
Fernandinho was on. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of these, Fernandinho, that was a defensive sub. So at this point, once they equalize on aggregate, I thought there is no way City are going to win this in regulation time. Their only hope now is penalties.
It was the M word, momentum. So,
Yeah.
like you said, and it's been seen, and I think anyone who watches sport does know, like, the death minutes are considered crucial before halftime, before the final whistle, and typically once you get back in or score, you typically tend to keep momentum, and that's exactly what happened. But I just wanted to add to that. Like, again, a lot of people, and I think once you're managing a club like Man City, you will get flack. So Pep has got flack already for was the so-called collapse of Manchester City. But I think there was also the 11 players to be held responsible at that point. Like, I think when you're at this level, you got to be able to see games off. Because Ruben Diaz, I think if I'm not wrong, the second goal he was caught ball watching. So, and then Rodrigo scores the goal, and then this third penalty was again Ruben Diaz. And I'm not going to say this, but in Thierry Henry's words, what was he trying to do? Benzema had nowhere to go. So
yeah, no, not sure why he tackled. There was literally Benzema was taking the ball away from goal, and there's literally no need for a tackle there. But
again, I want to talk about that particular tackle, right? So I have an opinion on that, but what did you think about that penalty?
Yeah, it was. I thought it was borderline, but I thought it was a penalty.
Well, I differ from you, and I thought it should have gone to VAR because I felt
they did check it.
It seemed he got the ball away from Benzema's feet. Yes, he got Benzema later on in the follow through, but the ball I thought was hit by Ruben Diaz away. So Benzema was on control of the ball. That was my point that I was trying to make. So
I saw the reverse replay showed that Benzema got the ball. That's why. So Benzema got the ball first, and Rodrigo might have gotten a piece of it, but it was more a tackle than getting to the ball first.
You mean Diaz? Yep.
Yeah. Because Benzema definitely got the first touch of the ball, and also he got the major portion of the ball, I thought.
Yeah, I mean this we can debate till the cows come home, but it was given a penalty, so it is a
Was
penalty.
there any doubt in your mind that he would score, Aniket? Benzema? I thought he was just going to score. There is no way he was
100%.
missing that.
The only thing I knew, I had only no doubt about one thing, that he wouldn't do the Panenka, because the commentators were going all over talking about how the keeper should be ready for a Panenka. I'm like, no one does that every day. So
there's no way he was doing the Panenka again. No chance.
Yeah. So that was the only thing I was sure about, nothing else. So
player is in really good form. This is just speculation, just conjecture on my part. You know how a player is in good form when he takes a penalty and he hits the side net and not like the back of the net, right? That means he's just slotted it perfectly, and that he's in great form. He just put it right. The ball hit the side netting on the left-hand side of the goal. It's just great. There's no way he was losing that. But I think I was looking at Pep after the end of regulation time, and you could see how he was trying to put up a brave face, but he was just devastated. I think there was a moment when they were showing just after the final whistle blew for the end of regulation time, they cut to Pep, and he was like pacing around, not looking at anybody, just going away for just 5 seconds and then coming back and gathering his thoughts to kind of figure out what he has to say to his team at the end of regulation time. But man, utterly devastating for Pep. His quest for Champions League, winning a Champions League continues. Aniket, he made it to the final last time. He almost made it to the final this time. All these years in Man City has not been able to get a trophy. All those years in Bayern Munich, he won all those Bundesligas, but never a Champions League with Bayern. So his last Champions Trophy is still with Barcelona, right? So, man, his legacy as far as Champions League goes, his drought continues.
I heard the commentator say it was his 17th time that he's failed to win the chess. So it's been 17 Champions League attempts there.
Which is staggering, isn't it? Considering the teams that he has had and the teams that he has built, all these well-oiled machines just performing to the highest levels, but somehow not able to crack it at the biggest stage of them all.
So there are 2 points here, right? So one is the nature of knockout football. and there is the league, right? So league is more about consistency
Yeah.
and doing it over 38 games or maybe like any year. Whereas knockout football, anything can happen. Like all bets are off.
Yeah.
It's so one of that. But I did feel that one thing we should talk about was that even though he had the game in control, I thought again this is armchair punditry, but I felt that in no match, unless injured, shouldn't have pulled Kevin De Bruyne off. I thought that was a amateur move, unless
100%.
it's to protect him from an injury which he's suffering from, which we don't know. But typically, when you can't let a player of that caliber go out because you don't know when things will turn. And I was pretty surprised when the substitution happened, to be honest. But
100%. Because De Bruyne, you would never leave a midfielder of De Bruyne's quality out so early. Just play it through. You are at the 90th minute. You have the lead. So the worst what's going to happen is he's going to play for 5 more minutes, and that is it, right? And if after
I
five
forget
more
I
minutes,
forget which minute De Bruyne was substituted out. So I know
oh,
it
right,
was
right. And I think he was
it was
substituted little ahead of time than that. I think it was
yeah.
with 10 or 15 minutes to go. But I'm saying, uh, even if it means that, let's say he has a slight niggle, right? Keep him on for 90 minutes, because I'm sure he was fit enough to play for 90 minutes, and then make a call if really he needs to go out. Because why would you take somebody like De Bruyne out of the game so early? Now you could say that they were in total control, and that's why he was thinking ahead, and 4 games to go in the Premier League, and the title is very much on, and all of the reasons are valid. Again, this is hindsight, but still, why would you leave De Bruyne out? I would have rather made other substitutions. I would have maybe taken Foden out, and brought some fresh legs on with Sterling or Grealish for him. But yeah, De Bruyne's substitution didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Especially marquee players like De Bruyne, and it also showed. And the reason I bring this up was that it felt like after, when there was extra time, it just seemed like there was no leader on the pitch for Manchester City. It just seemed they didn't have a fight.
Right.
And that was my observation, is like they lacked, for the lack of a better word, character maybe, to come back, and they really needed someone like a Company or De Bruyne to actually step up and
And also
play.
remember, Pep's teams, when they're behind like this, they also lack the style to get it done, which means they have to play direct at that point, right? So once they were down, once Benzema scored the penalty in the first half of extra time, they had to, because Real Madrid had everybody behind the ball. Man City just had to play direct. So they're trying to put the balls in the box and do all kinds of stuff, but that is completely unlike them, right? Unlike a Pep's team, they never played direct that way, which means they had to play out of their playing style.
Comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly, out of the comfort zone, and that never works for some reason. I remember all those Barcelona games and Bayern Munich games when Barcelona or Bayern Munich used to be behind. They used to try to play direct, and sometimes they used to stick to their style, which is even worse, because they would play all these short passes outside the box with no balls in, and everybody used to just keep waiting in the box. So yeah, that never works out. Again, devastating loss. But I think we should talk about Real Madrid, Aniket. I think I read that this was Ancelotti's 7th Champions League final, which is, if you think about it, it's been around for such a long time, but still mind-boggling stat there. What a year for we'll talk about Real Madrid, because they've had a roller coaster of year, but what a year for Carlo Ancelotti, man. We have Everton on the one side, he was coaching, who are right now still in the 18th position, trying to stay alive in the Premier League and not get relegated. Mid-season, gets this opportunity, immediately jumps on it, moves to Real Madrid, wins the league, wins the La Liga, and now makes it to the Champions League final. He somehow gets things done.
Yeah, and I have a question for you and the listeners. So if you're listening and if you have an answer, write on to us. But Ancelotti, greatest manager of all time? Question mark. Like,
wow.
Because I was just looking at a question mark. It's a question. I would like to get your thoughts, because if you look at his record, 7 Champions Leagues, you said. He's won in the Premier League. He's won the Bundesliga. He's won the French League. He's won the Scudetto in the Italian League. What is there? I mean, what is left? Like, he's gone and done it in the biggest of big leagues, and he's shown. I mean, to be honest, it seemed that even Ancelotti was surprised after today's victory. Though he was extremely calm, extremely composed, but did seem surprised and happily surprised though.
That was classic Ancelotti response, right? He's always this guy who's just cool at all times, every time. But yeah, I mean, decent shout out, but definitely one of the all-time greats as far as coaches and coaching go. If you are right, because he comes across somebody who's extremely practical, who goes into a team, a new team, and figures stuff out. He's extremely good with star players. So if you give him a collection of really good players, he's always good at man management. So there is this book called The Mixer by Michael Cox that I highly recommend the users read or the listeners read, which is where he talks about how Carlo Ancelotti does really well with teams with superstars in it. If you look at, as you said, if you look at the Premier League, he won a Premier League with Chelsea with the most number of points at the time. I think which 90 odd points, I remember. One in Italy, one in Spain. Now doing great again in Spain. So decent shout out, Aniket. Well, I have to think about that. We still have who is in contention with him, right? We have Ferguson, Ancelotti. We have Guardiola, of course. Klopp is there, but Klopp is as much as he's achieved, he's still progressing towards or inching towards all-time greatness. There's no doubt that he's an all-time coach, but he's still inching based on the number of years he has coached. Guardiola, Mourinho, kind of is off a cliff pretty much these days. There is him. Who else we got? Am I missing anybody? There is Fabio Capello with Real Madrid for a brief moment. Who else am I missing?
Allegri, how do you say his name? Massimo.
Yeah, Massimo Allegri. Allegri is a decent shout out.
So
we're just talking about contemporary coaches, but yeah, definitely among contemporary coaches or active coaches right now.
I think I mean, once I look at his record, I mean, again, it was just to get and provoke you, but I think once you think about it, I think Ancelotti has a pretty fabulous record. It's tough to do what he's done. So just a shout out to his accomplishments. I mean, we can debate and have opinions on who the greatest is, but definitely he's one of the greatest up there with some of the legends out there.
100%.
I think we should move on. So from the Champions League to India's
let's move on to the
favorite
IPL
sport.
then. Let's talk about the IPL then, Ankit. So, we are kind of at the 3/4, maybe the 3/4 way of the tournament in the regular season. Most of the teams have played 10 to 11 games so far. Gujarat Titans still on the top of the table with 16 points with 10 matches played as of date. They're still looking like the team to beat. And in the other side, on the other half of the table, Mumbai Indians, Aniket, finally has broken the jinx after losing 8 straight. Won a game finally against the Rajasthan Royals and broke the hoodoo there. They have a grand total of 2 points with 9 games played, sitting very comfortably at the bottom of the table. Do you hear some glee in my tone, Aniket? I don't know if you're catching that or not.
I did. I am catching that, and I'm wondering. I'm trying to pull up some of the records because, as I told you, I've been off what's happening recently. But I did see a lot of memes about Mumbai Indians' win. So yeah.
Oh yeah, the social media, I'm sure, is working overtime with Mumbai Indians. Chennai Super Kings, the other big team, still languishing at the 9th position at the bottom of the table again. They won a few games, lost mostly. The big thing coming out of their camp is that Dhoni has now taken the captaincy back from Jadeja. So some mixed signals coming in through the media, which was that it was a team management's decision. Some people said that it was Jadeja's decision, but I think at the end of the day, Dhoni had a really candid post-match interview after the first game he captained this year, and he said that the captaincy was taking a toll on Jadeja, and then that they were losing a really good player first, which is more important to CSK than his captaincy. So what did you make of Dhoni taking over the captaincy?
I'm always in for a Dhoni captaincy. I'm always voting for a Dhoni captaincy. I mean, he's just again. I mean, there are a couple of points here to unpack. Right? It just tells us how captaincy is not as easy as we think. Right? So all of us always want the best player to be a captain, and it turns out like it's been seen. Lionel Messi is not a good captain. Sachin Tendulkar was never a great captain.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing how responsibility is taken a toll on Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja. So it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not easy, and sometimes I think as armchair pundits and fans, we trivialize how important the role of a captain is and how it can take a toll on your game. So I'm again, like I said, I'm a Dhoni fan. Love him behind the stumps. Love how he thinks. I think he has one of the finest cricketing minds, and I'd love to see him captain as long as he can because it's just pleasure.
100%. I would rather make him the captain and then groom somebody as he's captaining instead of giving the reins over to somebody, which I think was the plan. He was trying to be practical, I think, about it. He said that this has been in the works from last year. So he's saying that Jadeja knew from last year that he was going to get a chance to captain. But things did work out. But I think the bigger thing is that you can't lose a player like Jadeja because of captaincy, right? Because he has so much to contribute. He's a really good fielder, great batsman, better bowler. So you can't. There are way more things that he can contribute than just captaincy. So captaincy was taking a toll of all of those three aspects, which means that they're losing a player and a half for their team, right? So it was important that they get him back. And now that Dhoni has taken the captaincy, they've won one, lost one. They're not going anywhere this year. But at least some kind of stability back, I think. Dhoni, I think, has at least one more year under his belt, so we'll see what happens next year. But you never know with Dhoni. If he's going to retire, he'll just say 2 days before that he's going to retire and he's done. So who knows what will happen. But Dhoni is back at the helm, which I think is the right thing to do for as far as Chennai goes. The two new teams, Gujarat Titans and the Lucknow Super Giants, sitting at the top of the table comfortably with 16 and 14 points each. My team, Aniket, Rajasthan Royals, 10 games played. Couple of games, they're on a losing streak. They lost the last 2 games that they've played. But the battle for the 4th position is definitely on. Between
we are in hot pursuit of RCB.
Yeah, it is because Bangalore, Hyderabad, Punjab, and Delhi, all of these teams are, and theoretically still the Knight Riders, all are in hot pursuit to play that to catch that 4th position. So we'll see what happens because right now, for me, if you ask me where to put my money, I'll put my money on the Hyderabad Sunrisers, who themselves are on a 2-game losing streak. So, but I think given how they are playing, I think Hyderabad has the most chance. Umran Malik has been just outstanding for Sunrise. He's just been a breath of fresh air, not a breath, but like a gust of like what do you call a big wind blowing through, Aniket? He's like that. He's not been a breath of fresh air, but he's been just this rampaging hailstorm of
a tornado.
Bowler. Yeah, he's a tornado. How about that? From Jammu and Kashmir. He's just been in great form. But we'll see what happens. I think Hyderabad has the most chance to make it through to the eliminators or the playoffs.
Let's hope so.
Do you have anything more to add for IPL? I'm going to put you on a spot. If not, we can just edit this comment out, Aniket.
No, I have nothing more to add about IPL except prayers for Hyderabad.
Okay, all right. With that being said, let's move on to the NBA where things are getting quite interesting, Aniket. So the last time we spoke about how it is the playoffs in the NBA. Which means that series played between the first and the 8 teams from each of the Eastern and the Western Conference make it through to the playoffs, and 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, and so on. Now that is the first round, And now, Aniket, we are in the second round of the conference semifinals, as they call it. Last time we spoke, I spoke about how the series between the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets was probably going to be the best series of all time. Well, I was wrong, Aniket. It was go pretty quickly. Celtics just crushed Brooklyn Nets. They swept the series. They won it 4-0. So it's a 7-game series. They won the first 4, so they never even got to game 5. Celtics, as I said earlier, has a terrific defensive side. They shut people down, which means they shut down Kyrie Irving and even more surprisingly Kevin Durant, who had a very off-color series this time. So the Brooklyn Nets got eliminated quite convincingly. The Celtics now have moved on to this conference semifinals. The playoffs are going on right now. I think the games just concluded today. So don't spoil anything for me, Aniket. I'm recording today's games. But as it stands, the Milwaukee Bucks, the defending champions, are playing the Boston Celtics because the Bucks in the first round beat my Chicago Bulls, again, quite convincingly in 5 games to go through. So the Celtics are playing the Bucks, which is I think is a great series. Going into game 2, it's tied 1-1 going to game 3. So that's set up
Game
for
2. Game 2.
Yes. That is set up for a really good series, I think. So those Bucks Celtics are going to be a really great series, Aniket. Sorry, go ahead.
That's a series I actually want to watch now. I really would like to watch every game of that because I think they're two phenomenal teams battling it out. I also have the feeling, say, it's too early in a series for such two good teams to actually fight it out because you typically want both these teams to go later on into the playoffs. But hey, be that as it may, it's nevertheless very entertaining, action-packed series.
Yeah, exactly. The Bucks have their own share of injury trouble, so we do the best player in the league right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is still playing, which is great for the Bucks. But their second best player, or the third best player, however you see it, Chris Middleton, is out for now. He has an injury. I think he has a hamstring. But he's out for at least a few more games, which means that the Bucks are a really good player short. The Celtics have a bit of an injury worry because their point guard is out, but their best player, Jason Tatum, is still playing and playing well. I mean, that is expected at this time of the tournaments because it's the fag end of the tournament and people always have injury concerns. The teams already have injury concerns, but they play around it. So that sets up for a great conference semifinals. Again, if there are any first-time NBA watchers out there, definitely follow the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. It's great. On the other
Whom
side,
are you betting on, Gautam? Whom are you betting on in the Bucks and Celtics series?
My heart says Milwaukee Bucks, but I think the Celtics have the most chance of going through because, in games like this, defense, you need a really good defense. Like in football too, often it's the teams that have a solid defense that goes through. So I think Celtics as a team has a great defense. But we'll see. It's a strong link sport. By that I mean that often the team with the best player goes through, and the best player on the floor at any point is going to be Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo. So the odds are, I think, slightly tilted towards the Boston Celtics, but the Milwaukee Bucks have a really good chance too because remember they are the defending champions, right? So they've been there, they've done that, they know what it takes. So never count that out as well. Other side of the conference too, Aniket, the really interesting matchup is that the Golden State Warriors are playing the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, we did not speak about them last time because they were playing quite an easy series, both of those teams. But I think we should talk about them now. Now, the Golden State Warriors, in the last decade, they have been the team to beat, right? They had Steph Curry, they had Klay Thompson, they had Draymond Green. They won their 3 championships. Kevin Durant came to their team and won 2 championships. They made all these finals and played against the Cavs and beat LeBron. Steph Curry obviously is their man, right? So this year it's been a little
Main
different.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, this year has been a little different because, two years ago Kevin Durant left to play for the Brooklyn Nets. Klay Thompson got injured and didn't play 2 straight years. He lost 2 years because of a couple of devastating injuries. I think he had an ACL injury, which is bad for basketball. So he missed 2 years. Now this year they had a relatively full strength team, and they made it to the playoffs, and I think they have a better road to the conference finals, which is the next round. But they are taking on, Aniket, this team called the Memphis Grizzlies, who have a player called Ja Morant, who is he's in his third year, I think. Yeah, he's in his third year of his career in the NBA. He's just this amazing point guard. He's electric, he's explosive, he's small, but he'll dunk on you. He has that swagger. He has a bit of nasty in him. He talks. There's all kinds of back and forth going on between him and the other players. He takes no prisoners at all. So I don't know if you watched any Ja Morant highlights, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. But have you been following any of these games, Aniket?
No, Gautam, I have actually missed almost all this due to travel. So no, I'm getting all my updates from you. So you're a good co-host to have.
No, so yeah, if again for any new time NBA watchers, I think this is another really cool series to look at, because I think if you don't know Ja Morant, look up Ja Morant on YouTube and you'll see a ton of highlights already. He's just in his third year, but he's still going strong. As things stand, again, that series is also tied 1-1 going into Game 3. So it's been really fun. NBA is one of my favorite sports to watch. Probably the only American sport I follow really well. So definitely catch it out. All the other teams who are in, or the other series that are going on right now, is the Philadelphia 76ers playing the Miami Heat. Miami Heat are going to win this hands down, because Joel Embiid, who is the main guy on the Philadelphia 76ers, is out for now because he has an orbital bone fracture on his face, so he's out for at least 2 or 3 games. Phoenix Suns, who are going into the playoffs were the odds-on favorites to win the NBA title, are playing the Dallas Mavericks. I think Phoenix Suns are going to win quite easily this time against Dallas as well. So more to come on that once we get to our next episode, Aniket. But it's been fun watching the NBA. I've been watching all of them in replays because I'm in India. The good thing is, if you have League Pass, which is the NBA subscription service, you can actually watch the whole replay of the matches. So it's been great getting up every morning and watching these whole games.
No, I'm sure it is. I'm actually envious of you, but I'm going to start following at least the Celtics series. I'm going to start easy. To start with the Celtics and Bucks series, and then move on from there.
I think that's a great place to start. Start with the Celtics and the Bucks. I think you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be great basketball, I think. But I think let's move on to some, as we close, Aniket, let's move on to some Formula 1. Because this weekend, we are not going to talk about this weekend a lot because it's, 2 days away. But the inaugural Miami Grand Prix, Aniket, we'll see what happens. I was looking at the track briefly. Is it by the ocean? It's not by the ocean, right?
That's some fake water.
I saw that. I was like,
yeah.
How did Miami miss out on an opportunity to have the track by the ocean? How did that not happen?
I don't know what the deal is, but I to be honest, I have not studied much about the track, but it doesn't seem like, so they have a small patch from an aerial shot when you see it's blue and it's got like Miami written on it, but I don't think the track is by the water.
Yeah, I think that's a missed opportunity. I'm sure they tried, but they couldn't get it. But if it is in Miami, right? Miami, everybody associates Miami with water, so I was a little surprised that that this track was not by the ocean. Like the Monaco one, right? Monaco always has. It's by the marina, so I was assuming that it would be by the ocean. But anyway, so how things stand, looks like, Aniket, it's going to be a 2-horse race again, but without Hamilton this year.
Yeah, and it just tells you that a car matters.
Yes.
Your machine. I mean, again, let's not take anything away from good drivers. A man behind the machine is most important. But in this sport, it also tells you about how important the machine is, because you clearly see, which is rare. But I just noticed this, that I've never seen 10th place or below 10th place given as much importance as it's given now, because Hamilton's there and there's so much focus on
Yeah.
like the 10th spot. I don't think other drivers who were previously in the 10th spot would have got so much attention. But being that as it may, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, which was basically in the Autodrome Enzo Dino Ferrari, which is home for Ferrari, basically.
It's Monza, right?
Uh,
It's called Monza.
is it the same as Monza?
I think
I'm
so. Yes.
confused.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this Imola, it's basically home to Ferrari in the sense that it's in Italy. And basically it was one of the first sprint races of the year, and the difference from this year's sprint race compared to last year was that this year's sprint race, in last year's you got only points for top 3 positions. I think this way the points went all the way to 8, so having a position in the sprint race would add some points towards the World Drivers Championship, which is important for any driver. And then Max Verstappen won the sprint race. Max Verstappen won the final race, which is a feature race. And it was a great race. I was heartbroken seeing Charles Leclerc lose out the way he did in one of the final laps of the track. But, it just shows that a simple lapse in concentration for a couple of seconds can just keep you away from where your goals are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it takes. But Charles Leclerc is still sitting on the top with 86 points. Verstappen is at 59. In second, Sergio Perez too has been consistent this year with 54 points. But I think it's going to be a two-horse race, as I said, between Leclerc and Verstappen. I think Mercedes have pretty much. At least Hamilton has pretty much given up on the title race this year for sure, but he's made a statement as such. But I think he's going to concentrate on getting his car improved. George Russell has been very decent in his first stint with Mercedes, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Hamilton is pretty much done for this year, I think, as far as the title race goes. It's probably going to be in the middle of the pack. But yeah, Miami, and then when is Austin? Is it after Miami, Aniket?
It's in November, so there's some time.
Okay.
It's in November. Unfortunately, the tickets sold out so soon.
Well,
Just
we'll
such
do
a
it next year.
tragedy.
We'll do it next year, man, for sure.
Yeah, and there's also next year. The good thing is they have now one in Vegas, so it's going to be on the Strip. There's a new track that's going to be on the Vegas Strip, so I'm excited to see what comes out of that.
I don't know if it's my age catching up, but Miami, Vegas, and Austin, I'd probably still prefer to go to Austin, Aniket.
You're always welcome, Gautam.
I know. I'm just saying because I think I don't know, going to Miami and Vegas again to watch a Formula One. I think it's going to be too hectic. I'd rather go to Austin and just spend my time usually over there and watch the race.
For sure. No, I mean, I have a special place for Austin because I love what the track, which is called the Circuit of the Americas, right?
Yes.
Obviously, we don't know how the Vegas track is going to be, apart from we've seen photos of it. But I think Circuit of the Americas, in my head, is the pretty legendary track by itself.
It's going to be on that the main straight. I think is going to be on the Vegas Strip, which is going to be very interesting to watch.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, more to come on that as we move forward anyway.
But I just wanted to highlight something, Gautam. So we are talking about Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton not having a great fight in this year. Something that we should observe is that George Russell, his teammate, is currently in 4th place for driver standing, and he's debuting with Mercedes. So it just tells us about how good these young and upcoming drivers are, because it's his debut season and he's teamed with a 7-time world champion, and here he is outperforming Lewis Hamilton in a similar machinery, if not exact, if not identical. It's very similar machinery.
Yeah.
So it just and I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I think we all saw potential in George Russell when he drove for Williams. Just the qualifications he did with the car he had. So it's not surprising to see, but it just tells you how talented these new young kids are who are coming up. And Hamilton has one hell of a fight to put up
Yeah,
for his
George
age.
Russell already has a podium finish, 49 points. Hamilton is sitting at 28. Uh, yeah, his George Russell is
It's
extremely talented.
yeah. I mean, again, we should put out. It's early in the season, but it's not easy to start off this way with a seven-time world championship as your winner as your teammate, and especially when you have a new car and you being a debutant.
Valtteri Bottas, by
And
the way, sitting 4 points, just 4 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Would be weird and amazing if Bottas in the Alfa Romeo ends up ahead of Hamilton by the end of the season, Aniket.
you never know what can
He has a
happen in racing.
chance.
And yeah, and let's not take anything away. Bottas is actually doing pretty well with Alfa Romeo this season, especially given the early part of the season. And again, it's also the nature of the cars. We can already see that the cars are much closer. The teams are not as widespread. You can see Haas uh, keeps throwing a hanky in the race every time. So
Yes.
Kevin Magnussen is scoring good points. So
It's
let's
definitely more
see.
of a level playing field with the new regulations. I think it was bound to happen at least for the first year, right? Because teams are still in the figuring out stages. As we move forward, they get better at it, and some team just pulls away from the other teams because they have a better design based on the new regulations. So for now, I think it's exciting times because fresh talent is coming in, and we are getting to see how talented the fresh talent is with Ferrari and as well as Mercedes with George Russell.
Absolutely.
So before I think with that we should conclude, Aniket. If you don't have any Formula One, if you don't have anything more to Formula One, do you have anything else for Formula One, Aniket?
Nothing more to add apart from saying check out the Miami Grand Prix if you all can. It's the
Yes.
first time it's happening. It'll be interesting. Every time something happens for the first time, at least in motorsport racing, you can expect a lot of things to happen. So let's keep an eye out and see what happens.
Okay. With that, let's get into recommendations. Aniket, what do you have?
So my recommendation is a book. It's called Shuttler's Flick. It's a book on. It's a biography with Priya Kumar of Pulela Gopichan. Very interesting book. Very nice read. It does get a little preachy from the author. That was my understanding. I felt it was a little preachy, but it was a very nice insight into the life, the character of Pulela Gopichan, who I think is one of the finest people in Indian sport. And I say that with intention because I think what he's done to badminton in India is nothing short of a service. Because he's played, and the coaching, the infrastructure he's brought up. We spoke about PV Sindhu, Saina Nehwal. All of them have some form of roots in the Gopichand Academy. So that would be one of my recommendations today. Is go check this book out. It's very interesting. You'd love to learn more about the kind of person Gopichand is and how dedicated he is to the sport. So there is also the Olympic channel on YouTube
Yeah.
has a series on basically the Gopichand's Academy about badminton in India. And we'll obviously have it in the show notes, but I would ask the listeners to go and watch it. There's these short 20-minute clips about the life inside this academy and about the players and stuff. And it's done by the Olympic channel. So it was very well made series.
Awesome. All right. I have two recommendations. The first one is if you can go watch the NBA playoffs. This is the business end of the NBA season, as I alluded to earlier. So this is where players are made. This is where new champions come up. So it's always exciting to watch the playoffs. So go check it out if you can. My other recommendation is Newslaundry. Go to newslaundry.com and hit that subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to Newslaundry, because only when the public pays is when the public is served, because when advertising pays, we know what's happening in the world of 24/7 TV news and all the bile and vitriol that is spreading in the name of news when advertising is the main asset. So please do consider going to newslaundry.com and hitting that subscribe button. There are various subscription options for you to check out, so do check that out. We also have a lot of podcast offerings. We have the Hafta, we have Charcha, we have NL Playoffs, obviously, we have the Awful and Awesome. We have a daily podcast called Daily Dose, which summarizes the news of the day, which I think is a very cool thing. We also have some feature podcasts like Let's Talk About. So do check it out. Also catch TV Nuisance and Tippani on YouTube, the Newslaundry YouTube channel. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of good stuff going on in Newslaundry. So definitely go to newslaundry.com and check it out.
Also, just a reminder, we also do some very good ground reports. So
Yes.
feel free and read those reports because they come from, like I said, from the heart of where issues are and issues that are important to you, to democracy. So pay to keep news free.
100%. If you have any kind of feedback, good or bad, please consider also writing to us. Leave us a review, rate us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcasts. But I think also thanks to producer Lippy for producing this podcast. I think, Aniket, we should leave the listeners with an audio clip of Real Madrid winning the Champions League semi-final against City in truly bizarre and spectacular circumstances. But other than that, we hope that you have a great next few weeks of sporting action in your lives. Aniket, thanks for your time, and until next time, thanks.
Bye-bye.
All the Newslaundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to Newslaundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs, and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.